Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Welcome to the EnvironMental podcast.
Yep, this is our podcast where we deep dive into different aspects of sustainability. Lately, we've been chatting with amazing industry professionals. And if you love this type of content, please like and subscribe so that it shows up in your feed.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So today we are very excited. We are joined by Lena Chao, who is the founder and CEO of Clean Circle, an incredible clean beauty brand. And we're so excited to chat. So Lena, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. And like you said, just chatting about sustainability, a little bit of beauty. And I mentioned just kind of like where the industry is heading and some trends that we're seeing. So excited. Thank you for having me.
Yay. Oh, I can't wait.
Really excited.
Yes.
Courtney and I met at a skincare company and we haven't been working in the industry for the last 4 years. So we're stoked to hear about like new innovations and what's going on. And
I know. Yeah, gosh. So can you tell us a little bit about Clean Circle and kind of how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a beauty outsider. I don't come from the industry. I think sometimes people say that's my superpower, and sometimes it's, the learning curve is pretty steep. So I don't come from the industry at all. My previous life, I've actually do elite college admissions, so helping students navigate the process into some of the top schools in the country. So how did that kind of transition into finding my own finding my own company and being an accidental entrepreneur in many ways? So when I've always been a lover of all things beauty. In my bathroom, I've played around with everything across the board, I would say. And really, when I was looking for ways to be more sustainable years ago. So I was living in New York at that time, and I'm bouncing, from work to the gym to the subway home, all this bouncing around. And I realized, like, if I'm going to go work out, how do I remove my makeup, right? How do I take off my face so I could go work out? And I was using makeup wipes at that time. And first, of course, it was like, oh, so bad for my skin. I was breaking out. It was actually irritating my skin, all that. And then I switched over to reusables, right? But then as I was like, buying it on Amazon or wherever you could think to buy it, something really simple, a simple product, I thought about it and I was like, who's making it? As we know, the textile industry is extremely unethical. We know that the fabrics, how it's made, chemicals are tossed back into water streams. We know that was something that I think some of us knew, but it was a big topic around fast fashion. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, where can I find reusables that are made ethically and made sustainably, right? Like with the best fabrics and made with ethical workplaces, something so simple. And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. Nothing on the market gave me that transparency around how a reusable was made. And I was like, interesting. If I care about it, and I'm just a very regular person on the streets, if I care about it, I wonder if other people do. And I do think that this is where my upbringing kind of plays into it. So I'm a first generation in this country. My mother was a seamstress in factories. And ultimately she started as a seamstress, then she had one. So I understood labor laws, I understood fabrics very early on. And I think that's why I have a deeper understanding of that, ethical and production a little bit better. So like I say, when I was looking for these ethical, sustainable reusables, I couldn't find it. And I thought that there was some people like me that did care. And that is how I launched, in so many ways, Clean Circle with these two products, reusables, but made ethically and sustainably. So we have, our fabrics, our manufacturers, we have full transparency around chemicals, production, sewing, to end product.
Wow.
So that's how it kind of all started as an accidental entrepreneur.
I mean, What was that process like? I mean, so you had a little bit of knowledge, right? So of textiles and manufacturing practices a bit, but how did you find the process of finding truly sustainable suppliers and manufacturers for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was extremely difficult. I will say that it took me over almost a year to fully source, and I wasn't sourcing leisurely. I meant like every day, 5 emails, 10 emails, 20 emails out
Wow.
around the world, every possible country that was still making textile. And as we know, there's only certain countries, right, that are still making textile in many ways. So I reached out everywhere. It was actually a stroke of luck that I'm in Los Angeles and a friend of mine was taking a course at UCLA for sustainability. And it was like, hey, I think this person might be someone that I want to connect you to. And that just led to XYZ, to the manufacturers, et cetera. And then through connections and through asking all the right questions, but it did take me quite a bit of time because it's not something that's talked about as often. It's something as simple, right, as our fabrics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge challenge.
And it was really, and I do think that that was a stroke of luck just through, friend that was taking a class. And it was really exciting to have those conversations, really push the boundaries around it, because a lot of my friends were like, what are you asking? And I was like, send me picture, tell me the certifications, and then in the kindest way possible, but really in some ways professionally and respectfully challenging them around it as well, not shaming. Have different, workplaces, everything. But when you find the right people that are able to help you, that's when it's like it's striking gold.
Yeah. Do you think that's changing? Do you think it's easier to find a better value chain or supply chain right now? Or do you think it's still...
I think the education around, you might be able to find it, but their cost is always going to be higher, right? If you talk about fair labor, fair working wages,
Yeah, of course.
it's going to cost more. So at the end of the day, I do think that some people have some brands, companies, whatever, just have to make that decision around cost of goods. So I do think it is becoming more of a talked about topic. However, I do think that there's extremely difficult education around why as well, because we hear green, we hear sustainability, we hear these big key words, but not fully diving into what that means, because everyone has their own definition of it, right? So I do think, yes, we're moving that way, but I do think that education becomes harder unless everyone is talking about it, unless everyone is moving to this more transparent supply chain kind of world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Textiles is a difficult industry to push, I think.
Right. And, I think the world is so much more, obviously, not even just now, but we're moving way faster than even when I was growing up. I grew up in the early 2000s when Facebook, when we were still only for college students, like that, right? And it wasn't for the whole world. So, but we were moving at 10, 15, 20 times faster than even then.
Yeah.
It's only been 10 years, 10, 15 years or so, right?
Yeah.
Not 10, yeah, 15, maybe 20 now. But it's so, I do think that, because we're moving faster, how the difficult question is, how do we move faster while also like understanding like textile, right? Because everyone cares, but if everything's moving so fashion is moving faster, product goods are moving faster, right? People are launching faster. How do we merge that? It's a difficult conversation, and I don't have an answer for it.
No, it's such a big topic, sustainability. And I mean, we've been doing EnvironMental now for what, 2 years or something, Courtney?
Something like that.
And a long time. And I feel like we have only scratched the surface on talking with people that are just doing their one thing to push this like transition a step and then a step. And sometimes for people, it feels like a slog, because it feels like you have so much of this backlog and you're dragging so much like tradition or baggage or what kind of all of the above. And I feel like for the folks that we've spoken with in textiles and these industries that are notorious for being underground, I guess, or like, hidden a little bit,
Yeah.
it's that much harder. It's
Yeah.
so hard to find data. It's hard to, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. I think that, one thing I it's almost so it's very privileged of me. I wish people could be able to travel to some of these places to really see the impact of it. Southeast Asia is littered. And I don't think people understand that that though, if you don't see it, right, you don't think about it. But in many ways, because of course I'm Asian American, I'm Chinese American. My husband is a refugee from Southeast Asia. We go back often. If you just saw it, if you saw textile, if you saw the workplaces, if you just it would that switch would switch immediately. So it's very privileged. I'm like, I wish you traveled. That's not what I wish of. I wish, how do we bring that up, right? How do we show? And it's a tough, like I say, no answer, but definitely interesting to talk about.
It is interesting. I mean, it's unfortunate that like so many businesses have really profited off the fact that there is not transparency there, that folks are not seeing that. Because, and they know that if people did see, they would change everything, right? It would be like your perspective would completely change on, shopping at fast fashion. And it's so there's a lot to fight against there, I suppose, of a very established industry that has profited so much off of this very opaque business practices. It's shady.
Absolutely. And because again, I kind of grew up in the world and I know it. And that's kind of why I launched really with our two products made better, but of course also on the same line of being really sustainable, right? I think single-use makeup wipes are, well, first, personally, it was destroyed my face, destroyed my skin. And then second, we launched with reusables to replace your cotton rounds. And cotton itself is extremely water intensive to grow. And the New York Times just a few months ago had an article out saying that Texas lost 6 million acres of cotton land because of drought. Like everything is going up in price now, right? Of course, as it would. You're not trying to squeeze any farmers out there. So what is that middle? And so I think even cotton round, something so low hanging fruit for me, just like replace with something that's high quality that will last you years. That's just better for the environment. Better for the environment. I think that's something else to that.
Yeah. Exactly. And cotton has such a sordid history, in this country. And it really, are you using cotton or what?
Fabrics.
What is your fabric?
So our fabric is actually like 70% bamboo. And then we do have cotton in it. It's recycled cotton. And then the rest are recycled polyester. Or organic cotton as well. So it's really, and that's, I believe, like I said, I push so many people. Why do we need to have it? And to hold the integrity. Bamboo in itself is extremely loose and like floofy in many ways. You need something to kind of pull it together. And so it was through that type of conversation, thought process was like, okay, so we need to have it. Can we do it in the best way possible? Really creating that super high quality fabric that won't break. I've been using my same samples from when we launched in 2020. So, it really is about luxe and high quality to make it last.
Yeah. And the polyester is the same.
Yeah, the polyester, again, so it's purely for fabric integrity.
Where does the like recycled cotton come from? I'm just curious. Like, is that from like post-consumer waste, or is it sort of within?
Yeah, that's great. It's a great question. It actually is from women. So here in the States, we don't do it as much, but textile recyclability, people recycle their textiles, right? And that's where it comes from.
How cool. I wish that process was more widely adopted here. Yeah. This
I
is
lo-
so useful.
Absolutely. But I do love, and I agree with you completely. I do feel like this new Gen Z, I guess that's what they, not what they call it, but Gen Z, they are all about secondhand. So I do love
Yeah.
that there's these conversations around upcycling clothing and shoes and whatever else. And that's that's great to see that it's kind of cool thing, right? It's not like, oh, you're wearing someone else's secondhand. It's cool to upcycle now, which I
Yeah.
really appreciate.
Mhm.
Yeah, and to, create something from something else, and that's really nice.
Mhm.
And we learned about, oh, I'm trying to remember. It's a Dutch company that takes like old textiles once a month. The Dutch like city people that like with your trash pickup, they
Mhm.
also have textile pickup for textiles that you can't take to the thrift store.
Yeah.
And there are companies here. One, it's called Wolf something. I wish I could remember it. But they take those textiles and then they break them back down into the fibers so that
Yeah.
they can remake new fibers with them, or with those old clothes. I hadn't seen that before, especially not as like a government thing.
That is super. Yeah, that's actually what we do. That's actually how our fabrics are. It's using your old textile, breaking it back down. That's interesting. I love that it's a full government initiative, right? It's like picking
Yeah,
up
it's
your
like,
trash with it, your compost. That's kind of cool.
yeah, they come in, they pick up your compost once a month. They actually pick up plastic every week, which is kind of crazy. But
Mm.
there's a lot of plastic packaging here. And they pick up cardboard once a month, and they pick up old clothes once a month. It's nice. It's like,
Super.
yeah,
Very cool.
um, cool.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of products behind you. Do you just have the two, or?
Yeah, so we have our two reusables, like I mentioned, to replace single-use makeup wipes and cotton rounds. I launched a konjac facial sponge. Have you ever used that?
No, not.
So depending on, of course, in Japanese, it's called kunyak. So it's different pronunciation, Western and East. So the konjac facial sponge is made out of the konjac root. The konjac root is something that we eat noodles. It's made into noodles and like jelly candy.
Okay.
Really popular in Asia. And now we could take that material and make it into a sponge. So it's a facial sponge, like a gentle exfoliator that you can use every day. After 2 months of use, you cut it up and it composts. So it is extremely cool because
That's
first,
very cool.
yeah, like as you're washing your face, you have dry spots, you need to kind of buff it out a little bit. Then from there, like I said,
Sorry. I love that way of thinking about it. I was just saying I need to exfoliate. No,
so yeah, okay,
like
Buff it out.
buffing it out.
I know my one of my team members, she was like, do we really buff out our face? I was like, I don't know, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do though, like it's really what it feels like when it's a
Yeah.
buff movement.
Yeah, and it's such a great texture. It's like I say, it's like jelly-like, so it's super soft. And if you could use it every day without like damaging your skin. So obviously part of the brand's like when we create things, it is about still skin health, not perfect skin, but we need to protect our skin health. So yeah, it's a great little fun sponge and like true to who we are, trying to be really sustainable. And it composts. It breaks down in 54 days. I throw it into my own home. I have a home compost outside my yard, and every 2 months, just cut up into little pieces. And I throw it in with my
Amazing.
yeah. You have to try one if you've never tried one. And for ours, it's been really fun because we colored it differently. There's a lot in the market, but we colored ours with the butterfly pea flower tea leaves. So it's like this beautiful blue. And then another one we colored with cherry blossom. So it's a little bit pink. So it's just different colors, more on brand, fun shapes, but again, true to our roots of sustainability and then highlighting ingredients, heritage ingredients.
Beautiful.
Yeah, of course.
It's a super cool product. I use it every day. Yeah.
Yeah, you beautiful skin. I really liked that you just said it's about skin health, not perfect skin. And I really just wanted to highlight that and say thank you, because for a long time, everything was about perfect skin. Courtney and I have both dealt with gnarly acne and skin issues.
Yeah.
And when we don't talk about it as skin health, but we do talk about it as like, I have to get my skin perfect,
Mhm.
it leads to a lot of self-consciousness, and it leads to like potentially damaging it more, and then it gets so much worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just, yeah, thanks.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I completely agree with you. Like and it's so interesting because again, I'm in the heart of it. Sometimes whether it's on TikTok, you're finding these trends, you're seeing what consumers are doing, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, you're burning, you could be burning your skin off because using this active, that active, and to get this perfect, this glass dewy, and there's just like it's just not realistic, right? And I think going back to what we're saying for like the world has moved so much faster, and I don't know what's sometimes like what's real, what's not. And for the young for young kids, young teens, I'm like, oh no, there's no perfect skin. I didn't have it. I still don't have it. I have hormonal breakouts, all that, right? So we want to continue pushing that narrative at the very least. Like it's all about just skin health. When your skin feels
Mhm.
healthy, you're eating healthy, and kind of your lifestyle's balanced, that's going to be your best spot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what makes you glow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's really wild how much has changed in kind of like knowledge around skin health and skincare since like we were growing up. I mean, in the early 2000s, everyone was using like really intense
Proactive.
scrubs, yeah, proactive,
Oh,
really stripping products, like so bad. Which isn't too dissimilar. Some people still use like heavy acids and stuff like you were mentioning. There are some folks, but it's good to see that there are so many alternatives now, and we're not just like,
Yeah,
burn it off kind of like,
becomes so personalized,
yeah.
and that's a really great thing. And I think there are so many great new brands out there that are first, obviously, like, well, we only, what are is this skincare or this product really good for all skin types, right? Hyperpigmentation for darker skin colors. So having these conversations on really what
mhm.
equitable, like, products mean. And I think that's just so amazing because you're right. There was a one size fit all many years ago, and now it's become so personalized. So you could achieve whatever your goal is for your skin. And of course, I'm a little biased, so I hope the goal is healthy skin and not burn your face off perfect skin,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about my skincare products and how long it takes to find the right routine for you, and how if like not every company, getting a line from a whole company isn't necessarily the way to go. Definitely have tried that, and it's like some products work quite well and some don't, and I feel like it's really great that you're also saying like there's a lot of other brands out there, and personalize it for yourself and do that testing,
Mhm.
and also know that your skin changes over time. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. I think like it changed with the season as well, right? For example, in
Yeah.
the like when I use our contract facial sponge in the winter, it's purely for like the dry skin that I have. In the summertime, my skin is so like sensitive, it's inflamed, maybe too much sun, and that's just how I wash my face with no face wash, and it removes that oil
Mm.
without stripping it because I need like I need my skin to feel moisturized, right? So it really, you're right. Depending on the season, it has to change, and that personalization has been really fun to see that people are getting, and men, and well, men, just everyone, that are getting into it, and they find some peace, right? Something there for them. That's really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, Yeah,
Mhm.
can we normalize men having a skincare routine? Is that something we can just kind of do?
In Asia, it's super popular, right? And so interesting to see, I think from my lens, what's coming over, the trends that are hopping
Mhm.
over from Asia to the West, and what's sticking, what's not. Because I think growing up, I've really dived into more Asian brands just because it was better for my skin. Even found whatever it is, foundation, whatever it is, was just always better in that way. And so it's really nice to see that that's accepted, like all people, right? Having a skincare routine, not just females. So it's that world's moving fast, it's super connected. There's definitely a lot of benefits to that. I do think that one thing is I would love to see more sustainability practices in beauty, though. I still think that there's way more to do around that. Asia is not known to be super sustainable. I think they are obviously making movements and whatnot, but still a really heavy plastic usage.
Mhm.
A lot of countries still heavily plastic usage. So, I think that there's give and take. So how can we, even though the product's coming this way and formulations, innovation, how do we as brands, how do we sustainability piece as well? So it's
Right.
yeah, just like something I think about, and not I don't want to like just blanket statement all of Asia. There's like beautiful places are super green as well, right? And then a lot of people, a lot of nonprofits, a lot of cities doing what they need to do as well. So I don't want to blanket statement like all of Asia.
Yeah.
None of that. No.
But it's true. I mean, there are still traditional products that have those ingredients that are petroleum based, and their packaging, like
Mhm.
it's everywhere. Yeah, that is still
Everywhere.
certainly like the norm, I guess.
Yeah, and how do
Yeah.
we? Yeah, and I think that's yeah, I think that's like I think that's the next thing. People are like, what's the next trends in the next few years? I'm like, sustainability, and it's not going to be a trend. It's like it's really going to, people are really just going to continue pushing those boundaries, not
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
refillables, not just PCR packaging. It's like really getting innovative with
Yeah.
formulas,
The
Mhm.
ingredient.
ingredients, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Courtney, I remember you saying, Aubrey, you're not in the States. You're
She lives
yeah,
in the Netherlands. Yeah.
yeah. She
Yeah.
said she talked about it earlier. I was like, oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, it's a whole different kind of level of like innovation, and the infrastructure there that is built around kind of sustainability, like she was mentioning, like monthly pickups of textiles. Like they have
yeah.
such a system down for
I know.
recycling, circular usage of things.
Yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
They sort of have to, because there's people on people on people. Like, there's very little green space here. So innovation is, so what green space there is really protected. And then innovation is necessary because the population is growing.
Yeah.
So we have to find ways to, yeah, every country in the world has to meet net zero goals. We have to. And the Netherlands is really comfortable with innovation. It's really comfortable with, like, the sea, when the seawater rises, more than half this country goes under. Like, that is because more than half this country is below sea level
Mm.
already. So the Dutch actually know very well how to deal with issues like this.
Yeah.
They're also very comfortable with, like, I see a problem coming. I'm gonna make a new thing to try to solve it. It's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, that level of innovation and having that space and having I think governmental backup for it, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
I think there's a lot of work to do. People tout the Netherlands as like this big sustainability thing, but there is so much plastic packaging. Like, there's still a lot of, there's things we can always point our fingers at, and there's a lot to do still. Um, and there are people all over the world that are working to solve problems like this. And I was going to say earlier that sustainable ingredients aren't just better for the environment, right? Like, they're usually invasive plants that are growing somewhere that have an astringent thing. You don't have to use a stripper. You can use a plant in oil and it does the same thing, right? So it ends up actually being better for your skin and then it works better, and then people want to use that ingredient because it works better, not just because it's sustainable.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a great point.
so
Absolutely. And I think that that's a, that's a conversation around formulation that I know that myself, and I'm not going to speak for others, just conversations with labs and ingredient sourcing and really trying to bring up those studies. I think that's what's really, I
mhm.
think gone are the days of just uh formulating with with whatever is there, but really thinking through. And there's just so much around that, around like more studies around these different types of ingredients, maybe more natural ones,
Mhm.
that it's just as effective. And I think that's a really cool space to be in as well. And I know a lot of brands that are kind of diving into that, getting really, really specific about it. And that's, like I say, it's nice to see that there's so many more options now.
Yeah.
That's great to know. I mean, when we were working for a brand that was really focused on clean ingredients and using like only things that were plant-based, essentially. Um, but it wasn't common, certainly, and it was quite a
No.
challenge to find those ingredients. And
So there was one formulator,
yeah,
one,
yeah,
um, and she formulated for that company
yeah.
and like estheticians, basically.
Mhm.
And it was really difficult to find anybody else
Yeah.
working it. And this,
Yeah.
we're talking about 5 years ago, but
Right. But there weren't a whole lot of studies on the effectiveness of some of those kind of alternative, alternatives to like salicylic acids and kind of harsher ingredients or something like that.
Absolutely. How do you feel now that everyone, and I do think that it's a double-edged sword in many ways. Everyone has become very aware of the ingredients that they're using, putting on their face and etc. Do you, because of that, everyone, if you're not formulating with something, some consumers are like, well, you should be formulating with this, or you should be formulating with that, right? Or is there studies around the benefits and,
Mhm.
are there clinical studies, all this. Do you feel that, and I know that you've set out, but I think as for us, my question is, do we think that there will be people are going to be more accepting that there might not be 100 clinical studies around efficacy, but 3, 4, 5 is going to start showing that there is efficacy there. I don't know. I think consumers become super smart around ingredients, but also
yeah,
formulation is a dance, right? Between
Yeah.
other things, not like, oh, there's only this niacinamide and that's it. Like I need to know, is it 1%, 5%? That's not how it becomes
yeah.
much more nuanced around.
Yeah.
I think for me, um, this is kind of I see both sides. Because I have a background in some formulation, I recognize like the challenges as a formulator, like you dive deep, you look for those clinical studies, that's what formulators do. But as a consumer, I actually don't care. I care if it's organic and if I recognize it or whatever, but I just want it to work. I want it to do the thing that it says it will do, right? Like, I think that there are skincare diehards out there, and I was one for a long time, and it was my job for a long time to make sure that like the things we were saying was accurate because the FDA really, we got our training in that skincare company with what you can and can't say
Mhm.
from the FDA standpoint.
Mhm.
And so I did read those studies to find the claims that we could say in good faith and stuff. But so there are people out there that do that and care, and they are the minority. They are the like us three on
Mhm.
that, right? Like, I just want it to work.
Yeah, no, and I ask because right now my there's a lot of studies. So when I think about how how I product develop, one thing for the brand is like I always want to highlight these ingredients that are so prominent in Asian cultures and our
Yep.
food, right? That there are so many benefits to it, but it's
Yep.
Eastern studies. versus Western. And that's something that it's an internal conversation I have with myself. Like when is the studies enough? And when do I say, nope, I know the benefits of it, that through Eastern traditional medicine, all that is enough for us to formulate with, versus like, well, if it's, from which lens do I look at it? And it's just something I've been kind of, think through myself as I think about it.
Yeah.
I think you have to find your own balance. If you know it works, it works. Put it out there. Just don't say stuff you can't say. That's
That's the FDA. I got the whole book printed. I think I have
Really?
Jeez. Yeah.
just to make sure I'm always, I hope by now you see that I always want to be honest. I always, well, not that people don't want to be honest, but I really do want to do my due diligence, understand what it is, not that we can say, but really be very thoughtful into everything that we produce, put out into the world. That is, because there's so much stuff out there. Like I say, go back to my original, like, who am I as an outsider to launch anything? But then you think about like, no one was making it ethically. Like no one was.
And no one's an insider. What does that mean to you?
Excuse me?
No one's really an insider in this industry when you like step in.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure I understand.
My Siri just came on. I'm sorry. I think Siri thought I was talking to her. I'm sorry. Aubrey, what was your question?
I said, what is an insider here? Like, what do you mean by that? Because we're all just people doing the thing.
Yeah. I think, that's a great question, because when I hear of insider, I think about someone that's like worked for the big conglomerates, L'Oreal, someone that's worked for a beauty company, someone that has, that's maybe gone to a Sephora quarterly meeting, someone like that, someone that just has a pulse on it, that understands like even product development, like looking at consumer research, like that is an insider. I do think most people are like me, more consumers, right? Like you have to separate that between insider versus and then just a regular consumer in some ways. So that's how I define it. I think in being in the industry, there's so many people that have beauty experience that are launching their own brands and doing their own things. So they already know how to navigate it. They know what they're looking for, who to reach out to. I think that's how I consider it. And I just knew no one.
I'm going to challenge you.
Oh, please do.
And say, how, like, if the industry is doing something unethically and incorrect, and those insiders, as you've defined them, have contacts in an industry that are doing things that are ethically and morally opposed to what you want to build, are they insiders? And are you not an insider?
I am definitely going to sleep very well with that question tonight. Yes, that is a question. That's when you frame it that way, it feels like, I think if you frame it that way, then that definition or that clear differentiation becomes super blurred now, right? Like there is no insider outsider in that sense. So you pose a really great question, and also a really great question to boost up my ego. You're right. Like thank you.
You're welcome. That's kind of the line we walk every day. We felt that way for a long time. Like it takes out the imposter syndrome when we look at, huge marketing companies and these like bro marketers that are using techniques and all these tactics. And we're like, we don't even like you. We don't like the way you do business. We don't want you to, we want to redefine what business looks like and what ethical business is and how we communicate with the people we work with. I'm taking that off the table. Imposter syndrome isn't a thing because we're creating something new.
That's true. No, thank you. I appreciate that. That is such a great lens and such a great reminder, as well as I think you're right. You're kind of charting the course of doing something just a little differently than what has been normal.
Yeah.
Love
cool.
That.
It was an honest question, but it was just like, okay.
I love that. It's true. We're kind of creating our own insider spaces.
Yeah.
sort of for folks that are just wanting to do it differently. Like, we don't want to be at your traditional party. You guys have been doing it for a long time and you've been doing it wrong from our opinion, So
That's true. Like I say, that's a great,
I love that.
such a great reminder as well, especially and I'm sure you both know this, in an industry where it's all newness and fast and you get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, interesting. My goodness. So what do you have anything like I guess what are you working on now for Clean Circle?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. We are 4 weeks from launching a new product, so we are extremely it's been extremely busy, and my team is super small, and I think we're all just trying to do coordinate, do everything. So we are launching the first of its kind fully dissolvable eye masks, those under eye masks that we wear.
Oh, cool.
Whoa, cool.
It's fully dissolvable. And when I say fully dissolvable, I mean you could, under warm water, like in your hands, it'll start disintegrating after use. And that is super, super exciting because again, when I was thinking about the product, I use them myself. When you're watching Netflix or whatever, you're working, you have them under your eye. Your full 8 hours of sleep. And I remember it being a lot of them being packaged in those single plastic trays. And I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is so, so, and I figured, thinking through again, what is sustainable? How can we reduce beauty waste? And this was one of the ones that it kind of slowly gets us out of like beauty accessories, textile, that into now like formulation, which was this is probably our 25th, 26th formulation. Took us about over a year to formulate, to create. And that's coming out in 4 weeks. And we're really excited about it. So we're launching 2 different ones, one for like brightening, one for depuffing. And not only is obviously the essence is a formulation, the eye mask is a formulation too. So 4 formulations because that eye mask is, you had to make it clean. You had to ensure like the ingredients on it, what we're making out of, because if it's dissolving, it's going down your drain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is kind of what's coming down the pipeline. We're super excited about. One thing that is not perfect about it, I will say, is the packaging. And the packaging is in plastic, and that is the biggest personal gripe. But it was a personal, because I was like, can't do it, because right, no one makes a packaging that's not in plastic for that specific.
Because
they just don't. And I've asked across the board. I had people scour the world for like glass, and they're like, you're gonna crack, it's gonna crack, it's gonna break. It's actually dangerous. People, like it, people are holding it, if they're holding it's wet. So that's not, again, I'm going to continue thinking through what the next options are, but at the very least we have that is again a zero waste product that I'm excited about. So with a lot of education around it. Yeah.
If I may ask, what is the mask itself like made out of? What is that?
The konjac root.
Oh,
So it's made out of and we worked actually with we didn't work with a beauty contract manufacturer. We worked with a biotech food. Food and it was so cool, right? Like it makes sense, right? Like they're using food to make other things and textures, and it was I'm really excited about it. But it is made with the konjac root, and we source the konjac locally from a farm where it's grown, and so really proud of what we've been able to do with it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where are you launching it? Is it just online? Do you have it in stores? Like,
yeah, we are launching it obviously our own website. We are doing an exclusive launch with Credo Beauty, which is the Credo Beauty is the big clean beauty store, and they're also trying to push sustainability, transparency, packaging across the board. They're really pushing brands to think more, having that transparency in how they work. And so we're doing an exclusive launch with them.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
So we are
excited to try that.
Oh yeah.
I love eye masks.
Me too.
I have a girlfriend who brought a bunch to Burning Man. This is just a random story, but it got me so into it. We would just sit around and like our whole camp sits around and just has our little eye mask on, and we just kind of like hang out and have a little spa moment all together.
Yes.
And the eye masks, they make such a big difference. And one of my issues with them is that they weren't a sustainable option. They were always like they're hard to they're
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
to
just like
do.
everything about it depends. You're right. Yeah, like it's just more like, yes, what it was in the past, could we push that? And I think
Yeah.
we did. And it dissolves. I'm super excited about is it dissolves it fast. So you don't need to boil water, like it's just a quick dissolving, and it really is
Will it dissolve on your face if
No.
you like?
No, it wouldn't do that because you do need warm water to break it down. So once
Okay.
you take it off, I literally just run it under my hot water.
Yeah.
If I actually kind of keep this little jar on because I've been testing it for a year or like over a year. I keep this little glass, like my little espresso cup, to be honest, my espresso cup that I keep right on my sink. And every single time I finish testing, whatever, I put it in. And at the end of the week, I do boil some water and I just dissolve it all together on one side, pour it down the drain.
Amazing.
Now you know what
Wow.
my espresso cup. I will never use that espresso cup to serve anyone, but it's my my little eye mask dissolving cup now.
I love it. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. And I also, like you, I love it. It's that little 5 minutes, 10 minutes of just like a little bit of heaven for me on my eyes. I'm just like,
It's like
it's cooling. I feel
cool.
relaxed.
Yeah. Oh, so
I'm
good.
with you. I'm with you. I'm with you for that experience.
So nice.
Mhm. So that's kind of what we've been working on religiously the last few months. And, I think 4 weeks out of launch, just, I think starting to do that education around the ingredients, because contract is still not it's a food.
Yeah.
We don't think about it. And you can't even sell it you don't sell in the States. It's only made into noodles or candy or, some type of jelly like food.
Mm.
So a lot of education around that. I always tell people, if you've ever hot potted, it's that noodle that you're eating, that you're ordering. It's that clear jelly-like noodle. Yeah.
Is this japchae or something?
So that it has a similar texture, but
That's
I believe
potato.
that's made with rice. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But it is a similar texture, similar texture.
Okay. I'm gonna Google it. I want to know.
It's I think Northern Chinese usually eats in Central and Northern Chinese eats in their hot pot, and Japanese eats it in their shabu shabu, their hot pot. The hot pot ask yeah.
Shabu shabu. I want hot pot now.
You're making us hungry. Yeah, that's
Our food now. We have moved
Well,
away.
it's dinner time where I'm at.
Touche. Yeah.
Fantastic. How can people connect with you, find you?
So you can obviously find us at clean-circle.com. I was going to say www. That's why it took me a second.
On the World Wide Web.
My cousin, she's my cousin's wife. She was like, "Wait, what did you just say?" I was like, "No, you still say www. And she's like, "Yeah, people don't say that anymore." Lesson learned. So they can find us at clean-circle.com or on Instagram. All the big TikTok at Clean Circle Official. Clean Circle Official. And we're in DMs. What you probably get myself or one of my team members, and we'll talk anything sustainability, beauty, culture. We're always chatting in our chat.
Amazing.
Way cool.
My goodness. Thank you for all of the work that you're doing in creating these incredible products and just educating folks. And I just want to say thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was so great to chat, and thank you for that question that was posed, just about really thinking about it. No, that's something that we need to remind ourselves.
Yeah.
So thank you
please do.
thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course.
Time.
And thank you for sticking around and listening to this chat. If you want to hear more of them, we post twice a month. So like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.